Permissioned versus permissionless blockchains. Understanding the differences. The last couple of years have brought a massive increase in the popularity of blockchain technology, with numerous projects being implemented by private and public entities. However, as it is an emerging technology, there is understandably confusion relating to the differences between permissioned and permissionless networks. To help gain a better understanding, the following topics will be explored. 1. Blockchain technology. 2. Blockchain types. 3. Permissionless or public blockchains. 4. Permissioned or private blockchains. 1. Blockchain technology. Blockchain technology became relevant following the appearance of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first innovation that makes digital currencies so interesting and full of potential. To put things into perspective, a blockchain represents a distributed ledger, DLT or distributed ledger technology, that is based on cryptographic protocols, is resistant to tampering, provides great security, is driven by network consensus, allows data to be transmitted and stored in a peer-to-peer, P2P fashion. In other words, blockchain technology allows the transfer of data, assets, value between two parties, while eliminating the need to rely on a third party to facilitate the transfer. It provides a trust layer that did not exist until now for all types of transactions, because all members of the network have access to the same information via the ledger, thus making it easy for participants to verify and authenticate past transactions. Research on the potential is still being carried out. However, the industry commonly accepts that blockchain will have a huge impact on a wide variety of markets, including but not limited to banking, logistics, finance, health, managerial decision-making, supply chain management, food safety, insurance, sales, stock markets, gambling, governance, and many more. In business-to-business scenarios, blockchain networks allow for increased trust between parties and instant access to relevant, authentic information. This trust is established by the fact that blockchains provide a historical record of all transactions. In the future, it is believed that blockchain technology will revolutionize the way B2B, business-to-business, user transactions and processes are carried out. 2. Blockchain types. A single, universal blockchain network cannot possibly serve all industries due to the vastly different needs of businesses and individual users. This has led to the creation of numerous blockchain networks, each with a slightly different set of protocols. Despite the vast number of blockchain networks available at this moment in time, there are only two types of blockchains: permissionless, public, and permissioned, private. 3. Permissionless or public blockchains. Permissionless blockchain networks power most digital currencies. They allow every user to create a personal address and begin interacting with the network by submitting transactions and hence adding entries to the ledger. Additionally, all parties have the choice of running a node on the system or employing the mining protocols to help verify transactions. In the case of Bitcoin, mining is done by solving complex mathematical equations which, in return, validate the transactions saved on the network. Anyone is free to download the Bitcoin blockchain and begin mining operations in exchange for mining fees and block rewards. For digital currencies such as Ethereum, the blockchain network also supports small contracts, which are automated transactions that self-execute when certain criteria are met. As Ethereum also employs a permissionless blockchain, anyone can develop and add smart contracts onto the network with no limitation imposed by the developers. Apart from allowing anyone to get involved on the network, there are a few more characteristics associated with the permissionless model. These are decentralization. Permissionless networks are decentralized, which means that no central entity has the authority to edit the ledger, shut down the network, or change its protocols. Many permissionless networks are based on consensus protocols, which means that network changes of any type can be achieved as long as 50% plus one of the users agree to it. Digital assets. Another characteristic is the presence of a financial system on the network. Most permissionless networks have some kind of user incentivizing token, which can grow or fall in value depending on the relevancy and state of the blockchain they belong to. Currently, permissionless blockchains employ either monetary or utility tokens, depending on the purpose they serve. Anonymity. Because of the way blockchains operate, anonymity has become quite relevant in the industry. Many permissionless networks do not require users to submit personal information prior to being able to create an address or submit transactions. However, in certain cases, personal information is required for legal purposes. Bitcoin, for instance, does not offer full anonymity, as the user identity is indirectly tied to the addresses for which they have the private keys. Transparency. Blockchain networks are transparent by design. This is a required characteristic, given the fact that users who get involved must be incentivized to trust the network. Therefore, a transparent network needs to freely give all users access to all information apart from the private keys. This includes addresses, how transactions are processed into blocks, and the freedom to see all transactions processed by the network. 4. Permissioned or private blockchains. Permissioned blockchains act as closed systems where users are not freely able to join the network, see the recorded history, or issue transactions of their own. Permissioned blockchains are preferred by centralized organizations which leverage the power of the network for their own internal business operations. Company consortiums are also likely to employ private blockchains to securely record transactions and exchange information between one another. Ripple, run by Ripple Labs, is an example of a semi-permissioned blockchain. With this in mind, specific members of consortiums or companies run private blockchains, and members need to opt in for the creation of such a network. Additionally, only approved people or computer entities have the possibility of running nodes on the network, validating transaction blocks, issuing transactions, executing smart contracts, or reading the transaction history. Some of the main characteristics of permissioned blockchains include varying decentralization. Members of the blockchain network are free to negotiate and come to a decision concerning the level of decentralization that the network will have. For private blockchains, it is entirely acceptable if they are fully centralized or partially decentralized. Given the fact that businesses are people-managed entities, some form of central control is required. Additionally, private blockchains are free to choose which consensus algorithms they wish to employ. The governance model is more important in this scenario, as power on the network cannot be evenly distributed among all members. This has led to the creation of levels or tiers of private blockchain users, hence allowing individuals to do only what their job requires. Transparency and anonymity. Private blockchains are not required to be transparent, but they can choose to be so, depending on the organization of the businesses. In terms of privacy, it isn't needed on a central level and can be individually determined on a user case basis. Many private blockchains store an extensive amount of data relating to the transactions and operations carried out by users. Lastly, as there is no internal economy for most private blockchains, there is no need to see how monetary tokens are being sent or used. Governance. For permissioned blockchains, governance is decided by members of the business network. On a central level, there are numerous dynamics which can determine how decisions are made, yet there is no need for consensus-based mechanisms where the entirety of the network must agree to a change. 5. Conclusion. Public blockchains are more open to users and tend to have very strict protocols. Private blockchains, which are better for internal business operations, have very different dynamics, thus allowing the central governing entity or consortium of entities to decide on how the network is created, what are its protocols, and what users can do.